5 public input. We had 3 public input requests received. One was deferred. The Surface Light Rail group, due to time constraints, they've requested that their address be deferred to the March meeting, which we'll be happy to accommodate. And we have the first item up today is from Extinction Rebellion, Tamaki Makaurau, and Carol Cowan is the representative who will be addressing the committee regarding the critical importance for Auckland, and indeed the planet, but particularly for Auckland, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So we'd just like to welcome you to the front desk there, Carol. You press the little button on your right, which should have a talk sticker there.
Thank you.
And you have
Great.
5 minutes to address the committee, after which we'll have a couple of questions. Okay, over to you, Carol, and welcome.
Kia ora tātou. Wainy, wainy, you and your council too. You're so brainy, we all depend on you. More bus, more ferry, more trainee, we need right now, dear Wainy. But no carrot, just stick, would be ethically sick, and your name would be in the poo. So congestion pricing with free peak hour icing, we urgently need from you.
Thank you. Just a moment. Okay, I'm going to do this. I've got the wrong bits of paper with me, so I'm doing this straight from my head, but that's all right. I'll go straight to the next slide. Here we are. No, we're going to start here. You know about global warming. You know that it's dire. You declared a climate emergency in 2019. At that meeting, there were 3 groups representing thousands of your citizens. And there was a lot of discussion around this table that that the declaration not be meaningless. And what have we got? We know the effects of the climate crisis. We are living with it, not just here in Tamaki Makaurau, but around the country and around the world. I'm not going to go into that. You should all be knowing this. The marine heat waves are significant and are affecting the world disastrously. Hang on. This is a graph that I would hope all of you have firmly in your mind. If we are going to get the 1.5 target, if we're going to be doing our bit for the 1.5 degrees post-industrial temperature raise, we should be going down to that bottom mark, the 1.5 degrees. If we are not doing anything, we are going right up the top. Current policy is taking us to the blue line. This is inconsistent with 1.5 degrees, and you, as decision makers for the city, should be knowing this. Just a reminder of 2 goals that, again, I hope is in the forefront of your mind as you are making decisions around this table. And a reminder that this committee has the oversight of Auckland transport. Why do we focus on transport? This is pretty clear. We have, from the 1950s, had urban design for the private car and not for public transport. And this is the result in the emissions. It's just horrifying. And then what do we have? punching it the wrong way. I'm going to skip over this. This was good stuff from Myri. No, I'm going to stay here. So why are we not getting the change that we need from Auckland Transport? I would suggest that I want to share with you what I've heard through the grapevine. And when I say the grapevine, we have public meetings, and we had a junior middle manager from AT come to one of those public meetings and share his deep concern that what was blocking the decisions at AT was the senior management that have made their career, almost there, have made their career on the private transport from the 50s. That's been their career. And they are blocking what the young, new urban design people are doing and saying. But I would also, so I'll leave that with you, but I'd also like to say a little something directly to the Mayor, which is, so often, Mr. Mayor, you come across as a grumpy old man, and that puts people off. And what I'd invite you to do, you come up with good things. For example, why are we having SUVs taking kids to school? You're absolutely right. The kids should be on their bikes. Their kids should be walking. But maybe you could be the kindly grandfather encouraging them to walk and to cycle, and for the parents not to have the SUVs, and also to get out of their cars into the public transport, because we've got good and effective public transport. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol, and I'm sure the Mayor appreciates that personal image advice there that he might be keen to take up. So do we have a couple of quick questions of Carol then? Okay, thank you, Carol. Thank you very much for your presentation and a very timely reminder to us going into the budget.
How do I turn this off for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I think we'll just move a motion of thanks to Carol for her input today. Thank you, Councillor Hills, and seconded by Councillor Dalton. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. The next item on public input is Graham East, and Graham's presentation is entitled Funding for Grade Separation of Railway Level Crossings. So Graham is here to address the committee regarding funding for the level crossings, in particular ensuring that becomes a funded line item in the long-term plan, which certainly will be well received by a number of councillors around here. So usual story, Graham, you're familiar here. You've got 5 minutes. The bell will go around about 4:45 just to give you a reminder to round up.
I'm struggling to get the clicker to work. I am pointing at the screen repeatedly. Am I pushing the right button? It's the left-hand arrow? To the right-hand arrow. Right. Okay. Sorry.
Do it further down.
Yeah.
Welcome, and your time starts now.
Okay, so this first slide is really just a pointer to the fact that this issue has been around for a very long time, at least half a century. And back in 1976, everything came to a screaming halt. Since then, I'll just quickly deal with why level crossings are important. Some people don't seem to understand. A lot of attention goes to safety, and this is a very important issue, but it's not the main issue, at least not as far as politicians are concerned. It's the bottom one, which is the gridlock that's going to result on affected roads, particularly in the next few years as the frequency of trains increases, potentially doubles, which means the downtime will increase to the point where the screaming from affected members of the public will be quite considerable, and they're all going to be blaming the people who didn't make the right decisions. So that's just what's happening. So in the last 50 years, we have actually made some progress. There have been a number of level crossings have been closed. I'll give most of them there. But basically, we still have 28 level crossings unresolved, mainly on the Western Line. There's a map, which I think you've all been forwarded that, so hopefully you've had a look at it. You'll see most of them are on the Western Line. There's a very small cluster down south. And then there's the Onehunga line, which is less critical because the frequency of trains there is so much less. Kiwi Rail give a very frightening figure of what this could cost. They talk about $3 billion over 30 years. We don't have 30 years. And so rather than get spooked by the $3 billion, I'd like us to focus more on what we can do in our lifetime, rather than talk about what's going to happen in 20 or 30 years. So we have the ATAP, which was introduced in 2016 as a joint agreement between council and government. And we're now up to the third version of ATAP. The first versions didn't have any dedicated funding for level crossings, but the third one most definitely does. So there's the front cover on the left, and page 7 or whatever it is on the right, and I've highlighted. So CRL, day one, $220 million. To me, that's in black and white, but now AT is telling us for some peculiar reason that even though they're all set to go, more or less, there's some uncertainty about the 220 million. This may be because there are multiple government agencies involved and it's not clear which one's going to sign the cheque. This is something for you guys to sort out by having some direct talks with Wellington to get some clarity on this so we can actually proceed. I've been campaigning on this for 17 years, and finally in 2021 we had in black and white some real money to actually do something, and now it's not worth the paper it's printed on, apparently. So, last slide. What I'm asking of you is, rather than get bogged down talking about the billions of dollars it might cost in the never, let's talk about what specifically can be done in the next few years, which is real stuff. This will probably involve some talks with government, the Minister, and also those other agencies. But we do need to make some progress because the CRL is going to be open, we are told, in 2026. I actually am a bit more confident than that. I think the testing will be completed before that. But either way, that's a couple of years from now and nothing is happening. I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Graham. I saw Barry Potter's eyes light up there at the prospect of it being finished early. So we'll open up for some questions on Graham, which is given a very timely reminder going into the LTP. Councillor Fletcher.
Mine is not a question. Mine is an acknowledgement. We've had our differences over the years, Graham and I, but I just want to acknowledge the sensible advocacy he has brought on this matter for a very long period of time, and I share his concern that if we are not to actually try and make progress with central government on the grade separation, we are doing a major disservice for the future for Aucklanders. So I want to thank Graham for keeping it to the forefront.
Thank you. And finally, Councillor Ferry.
Thank you. Graham, we've been in correspondence about this a bit. Do you think this might be something that could be part of any city deal discussions between Auckland Council and central government?
Well, yes, I think it's without doubt this is something council might be able to afford to knock off one or two, but to do a proper program is going to cost a lot. And so I think collaboration with government, any thought that you can pass the bill totally to government and say it's your affair, I think government will be more persuaded if they see that you guys are prepared to meet them, let's say halfway, by a shared process, because this has been what's been bedeviling things since 2004 when I first got involved. There were bright sparks who thought, this isn't our problem. It is our problem. So we need to be part of the solution.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll get councillors Fletcher and Ferry to move and second the thanks to Graham for his presentation regarding the funding for grade separation. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Aye. Carried. Okay, thanks very much, Graham, and for the presentation there. That brings us on to item number 6, which is local board input, and there is no local board input today. Similarly, item 7, extraordinary items, none known of. Brings us then to the first